Congratulations, you're born a Greenland shark. A 400-year lease on life with dial, up speed and factory, installed cataracts. You will outlive empires, trends, and maybe climate policy, while moving at the speed of a drifting sofa. Immortal vibes, minimal features. You begin life in the North Atlantic like a spooky rumor. Cold, quiet, and already a little outdated. Technically, you're a somniosis microcephalus, which sounds like a wizard's Wi-Fi password but actually means sleepy little head. Accurate. Your whole aesthetic is ancient nap. Nobody is throwing a baby shower because nobody knows where you were born. Scientists aren't fully sure either. Your species handles reproduction like a classified project. What we do know: you arrive in the freezer, grade water, think -1 to 7 degrees Celsius. In Arctic and subarctic latitudes, at depths where sunlight is a rumor and deadlines don't exist. Your first lullaby is glacial silence. You're not fast. That's not an insult, it's a lifestyle. Greenland sharks cruise at about a walking pace. Sprint is a word you will never need. Your metabolism is set to museum peace. Low and slow, like a crock pot with teeth. Calories are precious, so you move like you're trying not to disturb the century you plan to live in. Your eyes? Let's talk about those haunted marbles. A parasitic copepod, Amatocoida elongata, often latches onto Greenland shark corneas like a tiny, uninvited chandelier. Does it help you see? No. Does it make you look like the ocean's oldest cryptid? Absolutely. Vision becomes optional, which is fine because you rely on smell and the lateral line anyway. Your brand is vibes-based navigation. Meanwhile, your flesh comes to the factory, sealed with chemical warnings. It's loaded with TMAO and urea, great for not freezing solid, less great for anything that tries to eat you. If another animal sniffs on you, it gets seriously disoriented. If humans do, they get the infamous experience of Icelandic cuisine solved by fermenting you into hakarl. Delicious, debatable, memorable, yes. You're basically the ocean's some assembly-required atre. Your early diet is simple, whatever doesn't move much. You're a patient opportunist. Bottom fish, sleeping fish, already dead fish. Look, the menu's not about romance. It's about calorie math. Your jaw is modest but effective. You are the quiet janitor of the cold. Tidy up a seal carcass here, a fish there. No ruse. You have centuries. And while other predators burn fuel like sports cars, you're a diesel submarine. That low metabolic rate means you can cruise for ages in your pocket, change nutrition. You're not built for chases. You're built for outlasting literally everything. If time were a race, you'd lose every sprint and win the marathon by attending 12 marathons in a row. As you put on centimeters, yes, centimeters per year, you start to look like a slightly enlarged myth. Slate, gray, sandpaper skin, small dorsal fin that screams, "Don't notice me," and a head shape that says, "I've seen things," slowly. Growth is glacial, which is on brand. You will take over a century to be considered grown up by your species. Childhood ends sometime around when human history reboots a few times. You socialize the way ghosts do, mostly by not. The deep is quiet. Your kind doesn't form packs or swap gossip. Your network is the thermohaline circulation and whoever drifts within sniffing distance. You're not antisocial, you're just in polar time, where a meaningful encounter might be measured in decades. Threats? Not many. You're big, chemically confusing, and live where only tax documents go. Your real enemy is accidents. Getting tangled in long lines, wandering into places humans put sharp things, or bumping into a future you didn't plan for, because you don't really plan. But in the ledger of risks, you're still ahead. Longevity favors the patient and the unremarkable looking. Here's the cosmic joke. You were probably alive before somebody invented a country, and you will still be alive when someone invents a new one. You are literally calibrated for centuries, and your superpower is to keep showing up. Not dramatically, not majestically, just there. A cold, slow presence. Of course, biology keeps receipts. The secret to proving your age is locked in your eyes. The crystalline lens nuclei carry chemical timestamps. Thanks, mid-20th century radiocarbon spikes, letting scientists estimate ages that make historians stare. When researchers dated your relatives, they pulled numbers that looked like myth 2, 3 for centuries. Long enough to witness the entire timeline of a musical genre. Twice. But here's why being you kind of sucks. While everyone else gets childhood, adolescence, and then some kind of respectable adult phase, your calendar is all prologue. You won't be sexually mature until about 150 years. That's not a late bloomer, that's a different calendar system. By the time you're technically old enough, entire human languages will have gone out of fashion. In the meantime, you perfect the art of showing up extremely late. You drift through fjords, shelves, and abyssal edges, a quiet silhouette under slow snow, Marine detritus falling like confetti at a party where no one is dancing. You don't chase. You arrive. Eventually. And in that glacial silence, you become what the ocean turns life into when it's had a very long thought. Minimal, durable, and weirdly effective. You're not here to dazzle. You're here to persist, blindish, cold, chemically inconvenient, and on track to outlive everyone who ever judged your vibe. Welcome to life as the world's oldest living ghost. Plenty of time, almost no urgency, and a user manual written in frost. So what's it like being built for eternity? Think of yourself as an ancient refrigerator with teeth. Durable, reliable, and absolutely terrible at parties. Your metabolism runs at about 1/10 the speed of a normal shark's. That means everything you do, swimming, eating, thinking, looks like it's buffering. If time-lapse cameras had feelings, they'd pity you. You burn so little energy that scientists once calculated you could survive a week on the caloric equivalent of half a seal sandwich. Its efficiency is so extreme it borders on laziness. Evolution's slow cooker. Now let's talk about your eyes, aka haunted pearls of disappointment. Remember that parasitic copepod from earlier? Yeah, it dangles there, wriggling, like a cursed Christmas ornament. Some scientists think the glowing parasite might lure prey. Translation: your only source of light is also a parasite. That's not bioluminescence. That's Stockholm Syndrome. Then there's your flesh, which doubles as a biological warning label. It's saturated with trimethylamine oxide, so you don't freeze solid in water cold enough to murder enthusiasm itself. Unfortunately, TMAO breaks down into trimethylamine, the compound that makes spoiled fish smell like, well, regret. To predators, you taste like ammonia and sadness. To humans, you're so toxic you cause intense drunken nausea unless you're fermented for months. Icelanders call the result Hakarl. The rest of the planet calls it a dare. And your skeleton? Not bone, cartilage. Flexible, lightweight, and prone to collapsing under gravity. If anyone ever drags you to the surface, your tissues literally deform because they were designed for crushing pressure, not sunshine selfies. You're the opposite of photogenic, you're pressure-dependent pudding. Let's add the speed issue. Your cruising velocity is roughly 1 km/h. That's slower than a penguin on its lunch break. You're the ocean's slowest apex predator, which is like being the fastest snail. Your hunting strategy isn't chase. It's be in the right place when something stops moving. And smell, oh smell! You can track the scent of rotting meat for kilometers. That's the superpower evolution gave you instead of eyesight or speed. Congratulations, you're basically a nose with teeth. Your body chemistry's great for surviving glaciers, but terrible for flexibility. Warm water? Instant stress. Shallow water? Motion sickness. Basically, you're a vampire with hypothermia. Even reproduction's glitchy. Gestation might last years, maybe a decade. No one's sure because no one's seen it happen. If you're pregnant, odds are even you don't know yet. Your life is one long, slow spoiler reveal. Scientists call you a metabolic marvel. Reality calls you a fish-shaped time machine powered by sloth. So yes, you're technically indestructible, but only if nobody expects you to do anything quickly, see anything clearly, or taste good to anyone ever. So you're growing technically, but when your metabolism runs on polar time, growing means adding a millimeter a month and calling it progress. At this rate, by the time you hit maturity, humanity will have discovered, colonized, and abandoned Mars twice. You don't really change, you just accumulate history. Other species hit puberty. You hit the Enlightenment. Each year leaves another ghost ring in your vertebrae, which scientists use like tree rings, only your tree is made of cartilage and disappointment. Around age 150, you're finally considered sexually mature, which is the least romantic phrase in existence. Humans get midlife crises at 40. You're barely past kindergarten at that point. You could swim past 10 generations of biologists who all die studying you before you're old enough to care. Meanwhile, the ocean changes costumes around you. Whales evolve culture, cod populations crash, ice shelves melt, and you just keep cruising, still thinking seals are weird new tech. Food doesn't chase you, you ambush the past. When a polar bear drowns or a reindeer falls through the ice, congratulations. Buffet. You're the archivist of Arctic accidents. Sometimes scientists find moose and polar bear remains in Greenland shark stomachs, proving you're basically a museum curator with a digestion system. Growth is also chemical. You accumulate heavy metals, PCBs, and microplastics over centuries. If toxins were collectibles, you'd be the ocean's NFT collection nobody wants to own. You're living proof that slow living doesn't mean clean living. And let's be honest, aging gracefully? Not in the Arctic. Your skin thickens, scars stack, and those glowing parasites keep throwing a rave on your eyeballs. You go from mysterious elder to haunted submarine before you've even hit your prime.by the time you're 200. You've mastered invisibility, not by stealth, but because no one's looking. You don't age out of relevance. you outlast curiosity. Even your predators retire before they figure you out. Scientists measure your age with radiocarbon dating on your eye lenses, and every time they publish a new number, the internet freaks out. Wow, a 400-year-old shark. Yeah, thanks for noticing again. It's not like you have birthdays. You celebrate by still existing, which is a feat when most species expire before you finish a growth spurt. So yes, you grow painfully, slowly, and with the enthusiasm of a glacier learning yoga. It's not evolution. It's endurance cosplay. You've beaten death. Congratulations, you've also beaten excitement. When other animals talk about life expectancy, you're the exception that ruins the graph. You're still around after your food sources evolve, migrate, and go extinct. Immortality sounds epic until you realize you're spending 400 years doing laps in the same cold darkness. You don't sleep, you just cruise half, awake through centuries. You don't dream, you don't even blink fast enough to have regrets. Every century, a new species appears, looks at you and goes, "Oh my God, is that thing still alive?" Yes. Still ugly, still slow, still legally haunting. Your biggest enemy isn't age. It's boredom frozen into muscle memory. You're cursed with perfect durability and zero novelty. When you finally reach maturity, it's not a milestone. It's a bureaucratic update. Congratulations, you can now reproduce once every decade if you can find another ghost doing 1 kilometer per hour and 2000 m of darkness. That's less dating pool and more dating fjord. You don't get old gracefully. You erode. Skin like sandpaper, parasites like jewelry, jaw scars that tell stories you weren't awake for. You are the ocean's unkillable antique, collecting centuries of mistakes and microplastics in your bloodstream. Humans would envy your lifespan until they realize it's life without punctuation. No sunrise rush, no migration thrill, no dopamine, just 400 years of meh. Even evolution seems to have forgotten you, like a save file left open too long. And that's the real horror. You don't even notice your curse. There's no moment of clarity. No, what have I become? You're the biological version of an idle screen, still on, no one watching. You are the ghost of momentum, doomed to keep swimming because stopping isn't in the code. By now, you're the size of a van, the speed of a nap, and the energy of a depressed glacier. You've become a local myth, half fish, half ghost story. Fishermen call you the sleeper shark. Scientists call you radiocarbon nightmare fuel. Either way, you're not going anywhere. Literally. You haunt the deep fjords around Greenland and Iceland like a bored spirit. Sometimes you drift into trawl nets, and crews lose their minds when they haul up something that looks like a haunted couch with gills. You're older than their family tree, and your face says, "I saw the Renaissance. Please put me back." Humans finally notice you, and as usual, that's bad news. For centuries, you were ignored, too tough to eat, too ugly for trophies. Then science stepped in and said, "Wait, this thing might be 400 years old." Now you're a headline. Ancient shark could be oldest living vertebrate. Cool. You're famous. And fame, as usual, just means more people want a selfie. Your meat still makes anyone who eats it hallucinate and regret decisions. Iceland found a workaround by fermenting you into hakarl, the national snack that's half meal, half endurance test. People eat you once for bragging rights and never again, proving humanity's curiosity is more dangerous than your bite. Other animals keep their distance. Even polar bears give up mid-bite because your flesh tastes like ammonia and despair. The only creatures unfazed are those eye parasites, still dancing on your corneas like they own the place. You spend decades drifting, scavenging anything unlucky enough to stop moving. You are the cleanup crew of the Pleistocene, still clocked in. No predator hunts you, no prey escapes you, because you don't chase, you just eventually arrive. And as the planet warms, the ocean becomes more of a mess. Ice melts, salinity shifts, fish migrate. You don't care. You just sink deeper, slower, older. The apocalypse will need subtitles for you to notice. Humans might wipe themselves out. You'll still be under the ice, quietly pulsing along like a forgotten myth that refuses to end. You are the default setting of survival, too slow to crash point one day, meaning probably the 2400s you'll stop moving. Not dramatically. No battle, no chase. Just a silent pause somewhere beneath a glacier. The ocean will reclaim the protein, and no one will notice because you were never supposed to be excited. Maybe a researcher in 2700 will carbon date your lens and whisper, for 150 years. They'll marvel at your patience. You'll still be blind, frozen, and perfectly fine with that. That's the punchline of your existence. You outlived everything, but nothing ever happened. You are evolution's ghost file, too important to delete, too boring to update. So yeah, it sucks to be born a Greenland shark. You're slow, toxic, blind, lonely, and ancient. But you did what no other vertebrate managed. You survived history by sleeping through it. So next time someone calls you slow, remember the Greenland shark. It's been called slow since before slow was invented. Because sometimes the scariest thing in nature isn't the fastest predator. It's the one that never stopped existing.